So how many of you knew you wanted to be an engineer when you were in high school? A couple of you. How many of you knew what an engineer even did when you were in high school? Well, I certainly didn't, and that's the mission of the ACE Mentoring Program, to introduce, engage, and excite high school students to pursue careers in architecture, construction, and engineering. I'm Richard Leblanc from the Tampa office, and I'm also the president of the ACE Mentoring Program of Greater Tampa Bay. With affiliates in 37 states, we reach over 9,000 high school students annually, even right here in Omaha. Now, I was introduced to the program when a coworker asked me to volunteer for a few sessions after school. And from that first day, I was completely hooked. These kids come to our after-school program with the faintest idea of what it is that we do, and you get to see that instant impact of showing them what all this boring, mindless homework and schoolwork is leading up to. 2 hours a week for 12 weeks, I get to spend time with some of the smartest, most driven, inquisitive, and fun-loving kids that you'll ever meet, teaching them about the broad civil engineering disciplines and careers that are available to them. Similarly, our mentors from local architecture, construction, and engineering firms share their experience and knowledge to give the students a full, rounded introduction into our industry. Each session is focused on a specific topic or discipline like civil engineering, geotechnical engineering, cost estimating, architectural programming, and is started with a short lecture that's followed by a hands-on activity that reinforces that lecture. For instance, this year's civil engineering session, I gave a presentation on water resources and utilities engineering and wrapped up with the concept of buoyancy. I related this to HDR's C44 project by showing them the 78-inch diameter steel discharge pipes that we have and noted that as engineers, we have to consider that those pipes might float. Then I created a hands-on activity that required them to sink a Chuck E. Cheese ball using various materials that had specific costs and weight associated with them. The objective was simple: make me the most cost-effective contraption that sinks the ball. Now, it was a lot of fun and really amazing to watch all these super competitive high school students get in their teams and argue strategy, crunch numbers, and navigate all the traps I set with heavy materials that were themselves quite buoyant. As you can see from the picture, not all of them figured out that last part. But it was a lot of fun to see all the high-fiving and fist-pumping when a team's ball sank to the bottom, or the arguing and the finger-pointing and the "I told you" when it didn't. Now, the coolest part of our program is the annual project, where students take all the lessons they've learned in each session and apply it to one single year-long project. And we take them through the entire project process, from the goals of the owner, conceptual design, engineering design, cost estimating, construction planning, everything, all the while working on their soft skills like working in teams, long-range planning, and public speaking. We choose projects that are local and will ideally be in construction or active design during the program year, so we can show them that what they're working on has a direct physical impact in their community. As we all know in this room, one of the most powerful feelings is to be able to drive by something and go, "I designed that." By far, my favorite day of the program is the annual banquet, where all the student teams present their projects that they've been working on all year to a panel of local industry leaders, their parents, and peers. It's such a satisfying feeling to watch a student that you taught present something that you taught them to a room full of strangers with complete understanding and confidence. Now, we also get to give thousands of dollars in scholarships, so that in itself is a lot of fun too. When I started this program over 10 years ago, nothing could have prepared me for how rewarding it would be. Watching a group of high school students get excited about something that I do for a living and am passionate about reaffirms my appreciation for what it is that we do and the value that we provide to our communities. And even when it's bad, it's good. Allow me to read you an excerpt from a scholarship application that I received from a student a couple of years ago. "When I was younger, I knew I wanted to build things. I showed up to ACE my freshman year assuming that I wanted to be an engineer. In the meetings, we had engineers like Richard come in and describe his work with soil types, and I was bored. Construction people like Kip came in and talked about doing electrical work, which is a little more impressive. But when architects like Sasha came in and described her experiences planning a structure, I got a lot more excited. If it wasn't for these mentors, I would not have known I wanted to study architecture. Now that student is in his second year studying architecture at Notre Dame. And it's one of my favorite stories because it teaches me two lessons. One, soils are boring, stick to water. Sorry, Keith. And two, figuring out what you don't want to do is just as important as finding what you love to do. And that's what the ACE Mentoring Program does. We give students the opportunity to learn about our industry from the people who lead it, giving them an honest insight into a rewarding career in design and construction. Now, my challenge to all of you is to share your passion, your experience, and your knowledge with the next generation of professionals, whether they be in high school, in college, or right here at HDR. With so much to learn, there's never too many opportunities to make a connection that has a lasting impact. Thank you.